Hey everyone, I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are the leaders of one of our newest #1 Amazon bestselling books called Find Your Voice, Save Your Life 4, Transcendent Men Real Stories. Welcome Diana Leader and Scott Holmes. Hey, you guys.
Hey
Hey,
there.
thank you so much for having us.
I'm so glad that we are here together today to talk about this amazing book. There's some really great things and important questions I want to ask you guys today. But Diana, first, would you just please introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are and what you're up to in the world?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I am an intuitive coach. I'm a podcaster. I am currently certifying Find Your Voice healers. And I'm busy with these books. So, in a really quick nutshell, that's what I do. I have I have a mission to get my desire for as many people as possible to start using their voices out into the world. I want it to go as far and wide as it can. So the work that I'm doing reflects that, right? I just love being able to come up with books like this. I'm looking here. I should be doing this.
See the ones over my shoulder? There we go.
Yeah, all those pretty ones. Yeah, yeah. That it's really meaningful work that touches my heart and it touches my mission. So I'm just so proud to be able to be here and to be offering this book out.
I am honored to be on this journey with you. We have taken quite a ride with the 3 volumes that you guys see behind my shoulder there. Should have brought them up to my desk to play show and tell better today, but and your mission is alive and well. And really, I think that foundationally, finding your voice is healing work for most people I talk to. And we can talk all day about this particular topic. But let's move over to Scott and have him introduce himself. Scott, tell us everything about you.
Hi, thank you. I'm an intuitive energy healer. Um, what that means is I heal those people who are in that point in their life where they want change and are willing to accept it. That's changed to I heal the healers. Have done a lot of work with people who are healing others, and they don't find themselves grounded all the time. So I help ground them. But also with men's groups, and we're developing through the book the men's group because we found that there are so few spaces for men to be able to share truly who they are, and that's where my mission is now. Since the book has come out, since we've done all this work, it took us about 18 months to get here, but with the authors we have, we're going to expand that, and that's the kind of my mission for the next year is really developing that, making a space for men to be able to tell their stories.
And thank you for doing that. So let's talk about this beautiful book. I originally approached Scott a while back when this idea about doing an all-male collaboration came up. And then shortly after that, we came up with the idea to collaborate with Diana, who had already published 3 volumes of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life series. Diana and I had some great conversations about the why behind this project, and Scott, you and I did also. But I kind of want to hear from both of you. So Scott, you start this one off. Why was this all-male authored book important?
Really, there were a couple of main reasons. The first one is anytime in the book collaborations, especially that you've done, there was always the occasional male author, that male perspective. In the healing world, it is female dominant. There is so many women who are doing the work, the wonderful, wonderful work, but there are very few men involved in it. Going through class, as every class I go through, whether it's Reiki or Polarity or Theta, I am the guy, And I found that really, really odd. And we wanted to be able to find those men to share their stories, to be able to tell it. A friend of mine down in Florida had been divorced, and she's in Florida and said, "Are there any real men?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I can't get anybody to talk about anything. She's educated. Owns her own home. She owns her own business. She travels the world, and she can't find men that are real. She goes on the websites and everything else." And I said, "They're out there. I believe me, they're out there." And part of this book, by the way, is for women to understand men, much as it is for men to understand men and be able to be that role model, show that vulnerability that men can have, and to hold space for that. And thankfully, Diana had that place. She held that space. Now, she held that space for 22 guys. That, in and of itself, is a miracle.
It is. And I'm going to actually ask her about that in a few minutes because I want to talk about that a little bit. But I want to stay on this particular topic for just a minute more. The work was important for me too, and being in the holistic health and wellness field for over 30 years now, there was it was usually like 2/3 to 1/3 women to men in all of my classrooms and all of my continuing education courses and in all the places. So a third wasn't so bad. I knew that the real, awesome, amazing, aware, sensitive men were out there. I met them all the time. And then there's a lot of talk about how can we balance this out, right? And so how can we each bring our energies into the conversation? But as I read these beautiful chapters, each one I felt like those guys were giving us a little window to their hearts and souls, and I felt like I was getting a gift every single chapter. And it's one thing to be a healer in the world, but it's quite another thing to say, okay, now I'm going to publish it in a book and for the world, right? And so I just wanted to say a thank you to all of our authors in this book for doing that. It means a lot to women and the men that you're going to touch with your brave words. So Diana, how about you? What was the why for this for you? Why was this book important? This book?
So there are a couple of whys there, answers to that. So first of all, I was guided to do it. That was the message that I had, and don't forget there's a men's book that needs to happen. But I hadn't gotten to that point where I was ready to do that, and then along comes Scott, right? So it just happened, I think, in divine timing. So that was one of the reasons. I'm not sure when I would have done it, but so anyway, I'm very grateful that happened. It's an amazing end result for sure. But the other thing that made me, because I am thoughtful about this stuff, and I have to really make sure that it fits. Yeah, Scott's shaking his head because he knows. I have to really make sure that it fits in all ways. And one of the things that I knew was really important for me in doing a men's book is that, first of all, men have voices too. And sometimes they're not what we think they are. So they're not always, as we've read in the book, they're not always, the brawny, tough guy who's coming in and going to save the world and, put the little woman over to the side and just sit there, honey, while I do the work. That's not. I'm getting chills when I when I say this. That's not the voice that we need. We need that vulnerability that has already been mentioned. We need that real authenticity that enables men and women. And it's really, the process I don't think is any different for women, but for men, because the expectation is that they do, that they are tough and they do have to protect everybody. It's that much more important. So for them to grasp that vulnerability for themselves and be able to lead with that is amazing. So not only did these guys do that in the book, they put their story out, but I think the the real beauty of those stories is that it is their healing. It's both the writing and the acknowledgement of all of their past is what has brought them to a point where they can now say, I am leading with my heart and I'm good with that. So that was actually a piece that made me sit back in my chair and go, whoa. Because like I had known men who did that, but not that many men in one place. So yeah, so that was my wise.
Well, thanks for talking about that piece, because when you write for a Brave Healer Productions book, you are not just writing your book. You're not just writing your chapter. You are healing a piece of your life. You are healing a wound, possibly. You are saying, yeah, I'll dive deeper and I'm going to share it out loud. And this is badass to me. And a lot of our authors sign up, they don't know what they're getting themselves into until they're in the thick of it and moving through it. And you, Diana and Scott and our team, we've been holding that container. We've been holding that healing space for them after they say yes and figure out what they got themselves into. And nobody is backing down from that. I think we are all stepping up and saying, yeah, now's the time. And we have to do this a little differently, and we have to share our stories, our powerful stories. And in the process of that, we heal. And then in the process of the reader picking up that beautiful book and reading the stories, there's healing. Yeah. And it's a big, alive energy that I'm so grateful to you two for being a part of, really. You guys, I don't want to forget to mention that we're also now giving back with these projects. And today, I want to tell all of you that a percentage of our launch proceeds are going to be giving back. Dan Gorbanow is one of our contributing authors. He's the founder of the Seven Feathers Society, which is an organization providing spirit-based recovery and healing programs. And Dan, to you, we're so happy to be supporting you and helping you do more of the amazing work that you're doing in the world. Diana, did you want to say anything else about that? And then Scott, you too.
You know what? I just want to say that I am incredibly proud to be able to do this. I think that organization is something that is going to have other men come a little closer to that place where they are healed, where they are able to be vulnerable. So the closer we get to that, the closer I think the world becomes a higher vibe place.
Yes, definitely. Scott, anything else you want to say about Dan and his work?
Yeah, with Dan, we had a chance, Diana and I, to talk with him extensively, and the work he's doing, because there is that transition. You reach the bottom, you go through recovery, and then you get to this point where you don't know where to go, and that's what he provides. Next month, I'm actually flying out to Minneapolis to attend a session that he's doing out there, so that I can be a part of that and understand fully what he's doing. And it has to do a lot with American Indian rituals, Native American rituals, sweat lodge, all of that, to allow healing to come through. And I really wanted to kind of connect with it myself.
That's going to be fabulous. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to hear how your experience was. And the more that we collaborate, I think the better, right? One of the other collaborations on our beautiful book is the front cover artwork. Would one of you like to talk about that? I'll do the video really close for you guys for a minute.
There you go.
All right.
Go ahead, Scott.
Guy Kilgris is one of the authors, and he is he does art as a form of therapy for himself. And in looking and connecting again with the very talented guys, we have musicians, we have sound healers, we have just about every type of modality, and it kept coming up. And so as we walked through it, I said to Diana, we can use this art, we can use him, we can use his story, and I think it makes it that much more everything we've done has really been a part of the group. And we did collaborations. Diana and I ran them every about 2 weeks. And different guys showed up and they understood what it was. And so in the book, I think we get such a better feel overall for what they wrote so that they fully understood what we were looking for. It wasn't just telling a story, because you can just tell a story, but how to tell it, to go inside of yourself and that healing process. And I think all of them were very surprised what they found.
So you guys, on the inside of the book, there's the full piece of the artwork, and Guy has a little haiku that I'll read to you. It says, "Who are you that screams, I am to be this or that, beloved enough?" And that's the haiku from Guy Gilchrist, and our beautiful front cover artwork. So Guy, thank you so much. Guy is an amazing guy. He is, I'm just, honored that all of these men were willing to say yes to this project, and they continue to step up for each other in community, which is what you two are now continuing. And it's amazing to me, and so, so needed. So speaking of the guys, Diana, tell me how it was for you to lead this group of dudes.
It was awesome, absolutely awesome. It was quite a learning curve for me because again, I certainly have known men who are that vulnerable, but not that many in in one space. So it was really quite interesting, and I was really aware of my own, of my femininity and my divine self. I was very aware of that whenever we met, whenever I read their stories. And of course, whenever we are, we have any kind of awareness of ourselves, then we're going deeper, and it's awesome for us. So, and in doing that, I knew as well that, men as women as well, but men need to have some space that is specifically about them and for them. So, and in some ways I just tried to, stay a little behind, a little just kind of observing, watching and guiding in a different way, as opposed to, jumping in the middle of it and saying, okay, what are we going to do? Yeah, so it was lovely. I have to say, and I've said this a few times, but I have never had so many heart emojis after messages, or blessed. Any, it's these guys, like, that's where they are. That's their stuff. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it is a blessing to receive that. Like, I felt that energy. I felt that whenever they would communicate in that way. They're just, they're really in touch with their own souls, and that's what's coming out. So it was great.
I love it. Thank you. I think that you were brave to take that on, and you were also the perfect person to take that on in combination with Scott. And it was much, much more amazing than I could have imagined, too. So that's pretty cool. Scott, when we first met, I instantly knew you were one of our transcendent men. Before or after we picked that word for the title, you go at life with an other level awareness. What does being a transcendent man mean to you?
It's funny. We're trying to find the title, and we got a bunch of the guys together and we used Transcendent. And for every person that you ask, what does transcendent mean? Completely different answer. Is it a guru sitting in a diaper on top of a mountaintop? Is it someone who has found religion and is within the church? Is it um, just somebody who is holier than thou? No. Transcendence above and beyond what they have gone through. And when you read the stories, you see the depth, some of the upbringings that they've had, some of the horrors that they have been exposed to, and the depths that they were, and that heavy energy they were in, and how they've been able to transcend that, how they've been able to go above it, how they've been able to heal through it, how they've been able to get to a certain point of vibrational level. And when they do that, we put a description of what a transcendent man is. And part of that is awareness, being present, wanting to heal others, wanting to be a teacher for others, wanting to lift other people up because of what you've been through, being able to make all the mistakes, go through all the pain, and be able to save those other people from not having to go through that. To be a role, we talk about the difference in this book, and we had two titles, and the first one was a model for masculinity, and the other was how to be a guy without being an asshole, and how to be, in other words, how to be fully in your masculinity, to being you, without having to be abrasive, without having to be forward, without having to be overbearing, without having to be angry, without having to go out and whatever vice you're using, and do it to the extent that you see people do. And it's amazing the healing that they've done and how they want to give that. And that transcendence is just being present and wanting to reach out to everybody around them, and pushing that energy out. And you said I never saw myself that way. You said you saw that 18 months ago when we first talked about this. I never viewed myself as that, but in going through this, I understand it now. Going through the process of writing my story, of recruiting, we did, I think, between us 50 interviews to get the 21 other authors, because of timing, of just different factors. But this was the right time for these guys. And this was another step in their ascension, if you will, to be better. And that's transcendent. And wow, what an experience it was, just to see where they came from, where they started, and where they ended.
I think sometimes the struggle with the word is because transcendence is an in the moment process. It's not like this destination and then you hit it and then you're transcendent and then you're done.
You're good.
It's like everything else we talk about in the healing journey. It's a process that is happening in you through awareness. And so a lot of the guys didn't want to identify with, oh, I am one of those transcendent men. I think a lot of us were taught not to. Well, we were taught to be more humble. We were taught not to brag about it. We were taught not to do this or that. But what else do either of you want to say about that?
Well, you know what, I agree with Scott. Everybody had a different definition, but you're right, Laura. Everything came down to that, in the moment, doing whatever healing that allowed them to be who they were authentically. But that changes all the time, and they never really actually reach transcendence. It's just a process that they're going through, which I think is bloody grand. I do. It's what would we do if we reached utopia? What would we do? So I think knowing that they knew that process, they knew that it was a process, and knew that there was another level that they wanted to get to, I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And when we went through this, it was about pivot point. In other words, what was that moment? Where were you? What happened? What was the story? And what was that moment you said, oh, it doesn't always have to be this way. I can do something different. I can do better. I can be better. I need to be better. And the motivations for a lot of these guys were their families. First off, it was their families or their situation, but then it became about them, about what they did, what they were worth, what they brought to the world, how they could be better in the world. And that's really that kind of crux of all of it. And I think we imparted to those guys, tell us when the aha moment was. We have that. There's, we talk about healing, and there's a lot of, we talk about the woo factor. It's there just in the magic of being present. It's nothing more than that. Plain and simple, and being able to see and understand where you are and what you can see in that very moment.
Well, I mentioned it earlier. You two are continuing to support this community and you're doing some pretty amazing things in the world. Diana, tell us about the other stuff you have going on right now.
Yeah, sure. If I can do this relative to the book for a second, because there are
Sure.
definitely other things. So there is from the other three books, of course, there is Find Your Voice Women Facebook group, and I can give you all the links for that. Scott has been behind the scenes doing some stirring in Find Your Voice Transcendent Men in that group. And now, just as of the other day, we have a Find Your Voice, Save Your Life book group for discussions and whatnot. So I wanted to throw those out in case anybody wants to jump in. So for me, again, it's I have acknowledged really clearly that the process of these books is it meets both the goals that I had that we've already talked about, the healing opportunity for writers and the healing opportunity for readers. But it's also become very clear that this is how that message of finding your voice and using your voice to be, express ourselves, be authentic. That is really important too. So I love that we are all, everybody in this book is invested in that mission, and these guys are, just upper level with that. They really do want to take it and run with it, and through their own practices and using the book to be able to help their own clients and that kind of thing. So, and the other piece for me that is really important in terms of that process, just for me as a practitioner, is my Find Your Voice Healer certification. So that is for holistic practitioners to come in. They can take. Scott has taken it. Scott is a Find Your Voice healer.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. So practitioners can come in and they can actually, go through the process with me, which is one that I've built over 40 years working, in that field. And then they can bring their magic in too, which is really so super exciting, because isn't that what we do? We learn something and then we take it back and we integrate it with everything that we do and we know, and that we know really supports our particular audience and our clients. So that's actually coming up in October. I'm going to do a redo of that in October. So if anybody's interested in that, I'll just give you that link as well. We could maybe pop it in the comments too.
Yep, we'll have all of you guys hooked up with all the links that you need down here below in the show notes. No worries about that. That is super awesome, Diana. And I've watched your journey from the beginning to creating this amazing program. And I just wanted to say congrats about it. It's awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you. And you've been very supportive of all that. So I thank you, thank you, thank you.
Scott, how about you? What else do you have going on? What do you want to tell everyone about?
Well, I'm going to piggyback on what Diana has said. And if you are a practitioner, this is an added bonus to what you do in whatever modality you have. It brings out the ability of the person to see themselves and to find their own voice. And once they find it, everything else comes forward. And I use that with my private clients. I'm this has just spawned so many things. I think Diana now has 7 things up in the air and juggling all those balls. And now that all the connections that I've made and talking to all the different authors, I'm meeting them in Connecticut. I'm meeting them in Baltimore. I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to Minneapolis to share with what they're doing. That to me building that community. And I really want to build that community um, of men who are on that kind of forefront of empowering other men to find themselves, to be vulnerable, allow themselves to be vulnerable, but they have to hear their and find their own voice first. We never think of guys as needing to find their voice, right? They're always loud, they're always forward. You know, in this world, you two are prime examples of women who have found the strength, the inner feminine, the divine feminine strength, who are kick-ass. Men don't know how to deal with that. They don't know, they have never been taught how to be equals to women of power, women who are in their own power. And one of my goals in life, in the projects that we're doing going forward, and they'll be in the show notes, is about getting men to understand they are partners in this. That they hold their partner up, but in doing that, they hold themselves up, and they are stronger for it. You don't need the armor, you don't need the sword, you don't need the shield. What you need is your heart. You lead with your heart, you can never be wrong.
And that is the most magnificent place to wrap up today. Thank you both so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura, very, very much. You're behind this, and you're pushing, and you're supporting, and you're loving, and it's awesome. So thank you.
Same.
My
Absolutely.
total pleasure, you guys. All right. I know you listeners have heard something that is making you curious, or maybe you have a question, or maybe you're ready to go buy this beautiful book. So please drop down into the show notes, because I am going to hook you up with all of the different links that Diana and Scott are talking about today. You can take this a step further. You can hop over to Amazon and purchase your copy of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life 4, Transcendent Men Real Stories. And remember that every purchase this quarter will be giving back to the Seven Feathers Society. So you're going to be helping in a bigger way with your purchase right now. So thank you all for that. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, you were born, so you are worthy. What if that thing you're still a little afraid to share is exactly the thing someone needs to hear to change or even save their life? It is time to be brave. Visit bravehealer.com to find out how we can help you share your brave words. See you next time, everyone. Bye, guys.